Let me thank the New Strategy
good morning,
Center for
and
Eastern Studies and SETA for
welcome
organizing this event.
to the trilateral
Our world is
meeting of the New Strategy Center in Bucharest, a proud host of this meeting. This trialogue is co-organized with the Center for Eastern Studies in Poland and the Foundation for Political, Economic and Social Research in Turkey. My name is Doru Costa, and I am a retired diplomat, presently with the New Strategy Center. We are most honored to welcome His Excellency Minister Bogdan Aurescu, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Romania, His Excellency Mr. Zbigniew Rau, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Poland, and unfortunately, His Excellency Mr. Mevlut Çavuşoğlu could not be in person with us today because of unexpected issues in his agenda. However, he was kind enough to send us a recorded message that we shall broadcast later. Without further ado, allow me to give you now His Excellency Bogdan Aurescu, the host of the trilateral ministerial meeting in Bucharest in the very near future. The virtual floor is yours, Mr. Minister.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. I'm so glad to see you again. We were very good friends and colleagues in the Foreign Ministry for quite a long time. So I'm very glad that you are moderating this very important debate today. I would also like to extend a special virtual welcome to Zbigniew, my dear colleague and friend from Poland. I'm looking forward to welcome you also in person tomorrow in Bucharest for our very important trilateral. And I would like to express my appreciation for Mevlut's time for video recording his message, even if for important reasons he was unable to attend in physical person in this discussion. And I would like to extend my appreciation to the New Strategy Center for putting this event together with the other two think tanks from Poland and from Turkey, giving us the opportunity to address this topic, which is very timely and also highly relevant for all our three countries. But as a matter of fact, I think it's relevant for the whole region and for the Euro-Atlantic security. Romania has strong strategic partnerships with both Poland and Turkey. Our three countries are full-fledged members of the North Atlantic Organization, and this status brings additional substance to our strategic partnerships and encourages close dialogue and cooperation in the area of security and defense. It could not have been a better moment to discuss about our trilateral cooperation, because as I mentioned, starting tomorrow, I will welcome Minister Rau and Mr. Çavuşoğlu to Bucharest for what I am certain will be a round of very substantial talks. And our trilateral meeting is more than timely as well, taking into account the current security developments in the region. And there are a lot such very important developments, especially in the Black Sea, in and around Ukraine. We will also take stock of the results and discussions we had together with our allies at the ministerial meetings in March and more recently last week. We will also look into the prospects of further consolidating our North Atlantic Alliance in preparation of the NATO summit this summer. An important and unique moment of our trilateral meeting will be the participation for a special session, and for the first time ever in this format, of our counterparts from Georgia and Ukraine. Given Romania, Poland, and Turkey's high interest for our eastern neighborhood, having these two partners together with us will provide the opportunity to reaffirm our joint commitment for stability and security in our wider region. As we have seen recently, Russia's troop movements in and around Ukraine and its conduct in the Black Sea require increased attention and appropriate reaction. And this is the largest amassing of troops since 2014. It further complicates an already difficult security environment and impacts directly and significantly the security in the Black Sea and thus the Euro-Atlantic security. So this is a time for further strengthening our ties and to intensify our cooperation and coordination. And this is the point I would like to address today. I'm very glad that I had the idea to launch this trilateral on security cooperation back in 2009, as a matter of fact, when I held the position of State Secretary for Strategic Affairs. I remember that at that time, Doru, who was fellow State Secretary, was not very enthusiastic about this format, but in time, I think it proved to be a very strong and valuable format. Between 2009 and 2012, we have discussed the concept and parameters of this format, and in May 2012, I was honored to attend its first meeting in the margins of the NATO summit in Chicago at the level of State Secretary. The driving force of this initiative was to reach out to two strong allies, strategic partners and good friends of Romania, one in the Baltic area and the other in the Black Sea region, with whom we share common challenges but also common interests towards ensuring a stable, peaceful and prosperous neighborhood. We are primarily interested in continuously building a stronger NATO. The security of this space from the Baltic to the Black Sea is crucial for the security of Europe, of the Balkans and across the Atlantic. We have been meeting and discussing issues of common concern in this format for 9 years now. In 2015, during my first mandate as foreign minister, I suggested to upgrade the trilateral to the level of ministers of foreign affairs, and the first such meeting took place in 2016. During these meaningful interactions, we came to understand how valuable this format is as a stability triangle and a tool of coordination and joint action aimed at reinforcing regional security and our alliance. The security context has dramatically changed since 2012. We are witnessing worrisome developments, the continuous military build-up in the Baltic and the Black Sea regions, and most recently in and around Ukraine. Hybrid warfare tactics, including cyber, propaganda, disinformation campaigns, are all part of a larger picture in which borders and limits of international action are blurred. To that, we add the instability and volatility stemming from the protracted conflicts in the wider Black Sea region. These conflicts create favorable conditions for transnational security threats. Protracted conflicts generate gray zones that undermine regional security and economic development. As white spots, or better say black holes or gray zones, the genesis and persistence of these conflicts are associated with successive and blatant violations of international law, while their persistence poses unique challenges to any attempt at building a rules-based order. And that is why, together with other 10 EU foreign ministers, I have asked for a debate on protracted conflicts to be included on the agenda of a future Foreign Affairs Council meeting. And I'm very glad that Zbigniew strongly supported this idea from the very beginning. So therefore, I look forward for the Gymnich meeting in May to address this topic. In response to challenges, our trilateral cooperation plays a very important role. First, we share assessments for building a common understanding of the dynamics in our region. Second, we unite our voices around key principles of international law, including the respect of territorial integrity and national sovereignty, as well as the peaceful resolution of conflicts. These principles are sacrosanct, and all countries should observe them. Thirdly, we are developing concrete initiatives meant to increase our convergence on the security dimension and support our partners. Fourth, we coordinate our action within NATO, and indeed reinforcing NATO's deterrence and defense posture along the eastern flank from the Baltic to the Black Sea lies at the heart of our cooperation. And I'm very grateful to Poland and Turkey's presence in the tailored forward presence in Romania. But I'm sure together we can do much more, especially in the Black Sea. At the same time, we also have to do more for our partners in the East, in the Balkans, and in the South. We must join our efforts and our voices to encourage stronger NATO support for stability in these areas by training forces, building defense capabilities, and increase resilience. It is important to support the implementation of Georgia's substantial package of cooperation with NATO, which helps the Georgians in strengthening their resilience against cyber and hybrid threats, their defense capability, and their contribution to allied missions, as well as their exchanges and cooperation with the alliance, including on the issue of the security in the Black Sea. Our vision is similar as far as Ukraine is concerned. Our countries share a keen interest in a strong, stable, and democratic Ukraine. In face of the most recent worrisome security developments, we will not derail from our principled position that of a strong commitment towards the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine. Together, we must help Ukraine continue its defense and security sector reforms, improve its resilience, and thus support the implementation of NATO's comprehensive assistance package for Ukraine. The strong ties between our three countries and our solidarity as allies have been more than visible during this global pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic went beyond physical borders, highlighting vulnerabilities and driving rapid changes and a stringent need to adapt to new realities. It pointed out to the complexity of pre-existing challenges and the unpredictability of emerging threats. And one of the fundamental lessons of this difficult period, which we hope to be able to overpass soon, was that of the vital role of cooperation, as no country or organization can face such a multi-level crisis alone. Whether there is a crisis or not, whether we are faced with immediate or escalating threats, our trilateral cooperation is a source of stability from the Baltic to the Black Sea and a force multiplier in strengthening NATO's response to the wide range of challenges that we face. Romania will continue to play an active part in this format by promoting a forward-looking agenda and meaningful progress. We share a responsibility to promote security and peace for our citizens and for our partners, and of course, we also look forward to the results of the reflection process coordinated by the Secretary General under the concept NATO 2030, a process aimed at strengthening the political dimension of the alliance, at crystallizing a vision for the future of NATO, and ultimately at leading to the elaboration of a new strategic concept. So I will stop here and look forward to the discussions in Bucharest, starting with tomorrow with Zbigniew and Mevlut, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you indeed, Minister, for your introductory remarks. And now let me turn to His Excellency Zbigniew Rau. Minister, you're on.
Ambassador Costa, distinguished participants, it is my great pleasure to participate in today's conference. A year ago, my predecessor, Jacek Czaputowicz, came up with the idea to hold a gathering in this format. Unfortunately,
Gentlemen,
it could not take place due to the pandemic. I'm grateful to our friends from Romania for hosting this year's online edition. I hope next year we will be able to meet in person in Ankara upon the invitation of the Turkish side. Friends, I think this word indeed best describes what our three countries are to each other. There is an old Polish proverb: you learn who is your true friend when you are in misfortune. The Romanian hospitality for Polish refugees during World War II and the splendid in its form and its moral character refusal of President Ismet Inin to the Third Reich demand to close the Polish embassy and consulates in Turkey in the tragic autumn of 1939 confirmed the truth of that proverb. This friendship is not merely occasional. To the contrary, it is a long-lasting phenomenon. There is no time for a long lecture of our common history. So let me only remind you that Turkey was the only country that fought the war 1768-1774 while trying to prevent the first partition of Poland, and that the first Polish military unit who tried to come back to Poland to liberate it after she had been finally partitioned in 1795 was formed with Turkish support in the Romanian Principality of Wallachia in 1797. It is the question of a Polish honor to remember that and to be grateful. Today, the trilogue helps us build our collective security, shape our joint stance in NATO, and boost our resilience against common challenges. Our countries are at the front line of NATO defense, facing direct threats to both their own security and the security of the entire Euro-Atlantic area. When we act together, we can achieve much more. Ladies and gentlemen, last year, when COVID-19 struck all around the globe, traditional threats were moved into the background. Meanwhile, our adversaries have been trying to exploit the crisis to further their interests. The unfriendly actions we have witnessed since 2014 or even since 2008 have continued or escalated. We have seen intensive military build-up along NATO borders in both the Baltic and the Black Sea regions, particularly Kaliningrad and the occupied Crimea, and in Transnistria, still occupied by Russian forces, in spite of the decision of Istanbul OSCE summit of 1999 that obliged Russia to withdraw them by 2002. Russia develops capabilities that can limit NATO's freedom of maneuver, but also pose direct threat to regional stability. The recent escalation caused by the concentration of Russian troops along Ukraine's border and partial blockage of the Black Sea, paired with aggressive disinformation campaign, are highly worrisome. All those elements form part of a wider picture in which Russia has chosen the path on confrontation with the West. In consequence, the current security architecture in Europe, based on the international law, is endangered. Successive NATO summits have allowed us to respond to growing threats. The alliance has made significant steps to strengthen its deterrence and defense posture. We have deployed enhanced forward presence battle groups in Poland, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. We have set up tailored forward presence in Romania to bolster NATO's capacities in the Black Sea region and introduce tailored assurance measures for Turkey. The Polish military contingents participate in the alliance missions in Latvia, Romania, and Turkey, while the Romanian troops serve in the NATO battles group in Poland. NATO's adaptation process cannot stop, as the threats we face constantly evolve, and our credibility rests on our ability to deal with them. This is also true for NATO Eastern Flank. Distinguished participants, at the latest NATO Foreign Ministerial meeting, we reaffirmed the enduring transatlantic bond between Europe and North America, with NATO as the foundation of our collective defense. Close political, economic, and military relations between the US and our NATO allies are indispensable for Europe's security. Only a united transatlantic community can face common goal challenges, be they military or civilian, like the COVID-19 pandemic or economic recovery. In view of the recent developments, we should continue to support Euro-Atlantic aspirations of Ukraine and Georgia, using all bilateral and NATO mechanisms at our disposal, such as trust funds, the Enhanced Opportunities Partner Framework, and open door policy tools. Ladies and gentlemen, the scale of hybrid threats has been growing in recent years, especially during the pandemic. Most of our public and private lives have moved online, making cyberspace particularly vulnerable to attacks. While governments have been busy mitigating the effects of the pandemic, some actors use the crisis to pursue their geopolitical goals. Many countries, especially in our neighborhood, have fallen victims of malign activities aimed at creating social and political instability. To respond to the threats, both traditional and hybrid, we should reinforce our resilience, building upon the Warsaw Summit commitments. Effective countering of threats should be two-track. On the one hand, we need to increase resilience of our systems and societies. On the other, introduce countermeasures that will deter malign actors. These efforts require a whole of government and whole of society approach. We encourage deepening cooperation among our countries to better face these challenges. Distinguished participants, while new challenges have emerged, the old ones have not disappeared. A unified military and diplomatic response of the West is key. So is maintaining NATO's strong posture. It is crucial to us that our two good friends and allies, Romania and Turkey, share the same assessment. We are keen to continue our close cooperation in the trilateral format to increase our common security, also in the context of COVID-19. Apart from formal political meetings, such as the one we will hold tomorrow in Bucharest, we hope for more concrete coordination among our diplomatic representatives in Brussels, Vienna, Kiev, or Tbilisi. Thank you.
Thank you indeed,
Dear
Mr.
Bogdan
Minister.
and Zbigniew.
Now, let's watch the recorded message that His Excellency Minister Çavuşoğlu was kind enough to share with us.
Dear Bogdan and Zbigniew, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, let me thank the New Strategy Center, Center for Eastern Studies, and CETA for organizing this event. Our world is going through turbulent times. Power shifts and vacuums, hybrid and proxy wars, terrorism, climate change, poor governance, poverty, and displacement create a complex security puzzle. We also see the impact of the pandemic in every field. Lack of international solidarity, wild competition for medical supplies, polarization, and economic recession. Let me share just one figure. An additional 150 million people might live in extreme poverty due to the pandemic. All of this come with huge social and security implications for all of us. We believe that the way out of this global crisis is through international solidarity and wisdom. The recipe for peace, stability, and prosperity are straightforward: reducing all conflicts, ceasing hostilities, stepping up dialogue, diplomacy, and mediation, working for a rules-based and reformed global system, resilient and accountable governance, economies that leave no one behind. As three NATO allies, Turkey, Romania, and Poland share similar approaches and perspectives in addressing the challenges faced by our region and the world. Our borders are NATO's border. Therefore, we decided to use our common approaches, geography, and sense of ownership as positive push factors. We established an effective and visionary trilateral cooperation mechanism back in 2012. This doesn't mean that we are on the exact same page on all issues. At times, we bring out the added value of our different perspectives. This year, our agenda is rich. The NATO summit is only 2 months ahead. It will be a valuable opportunity at a critical moment. We will also exchange views on the NATO 2030 process. This timely initiative evaluates the transformation of the threats we face. It demands that we build better resilience and enhance solidarity. There are 3 major words that are fundamental to face today's challenges and threats: unity, cohesion, and solidarity. This is how our alliance progressed during the Cold War, and this is how we will prevail in the 21st century. Ladies and gentlemen, there are many pressing issues in our immediate neighborhood. Nagorno-Karabakh recently showed us that there are no frozen conflicts. A conflict is a conflict, and such crises remind us how vital the security and stability of Black Sea region is. In the last century, the Black Sea has never been a sea of military confrontation, even during World War II. The main reason behind this is the delicate balance established by the Montreux Convention. We will continue to transparently and impartially implement it, as we have done since 1936. But of course, the convention is not enough in itself to maintain stability. The rising tension in the region is a cause for concern for all of us. Provocations must be avoided. We need to work hard to make sure diplomacy and dialogue prevail. Dear friends, I look forward to participating in our next trilateral meeting we will hold in Bucharest starting on Thursday. Together, we are committed to remain as enablers of peace in our region and beyond. I wish you a successful event. Thank you.
Well, distinguished guests and panelists, dear friends, this brings us to the end of the first panel of our meeting. Allow me to reiterate our deep gratitude for the time the 3 ministers have allotted to this meeting. We thank you, and allow me also to wish a very fruitful meeting with the when you have the trilateral in a day or 2. Thank you very much indeed.